You're now watching the Mike Missanelli podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Good afternoon, everybody, in the sweltering weather of Philadelphia, which is somehow turned into the tropics. It is the Mike Missanelli podcast number 111. It's Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, and we are kind of in the limbo period of sports as we have the All-Star break coming up. Will there be no sports for a couple of days, which will be interesting how we handle that. I got one word for you: Netflix. Anyway, the podcast is brought to you by Bet Rivers. Bet Rivers is so fun to play. Like, you can really experience the heartbreak of betting sports, but also the victory of betting sports. Like, for instance, I would like to dime myself out with this kind of thing, because a lot of people say you should never bet against the home team. Well, the other night I saw Michael Mercado go against the Atlanta Braves, and I go, there's no way that he's going to be able to be effective in his second start. He's got to hit a wall. So I played the Braves and I cashed in. However, like a couple days before, I took the Phillies minus a run and a half. Whit Merrifield comes up with runners on second and third and one out. All I have to do is put the ball in play to put the Phillies up 2 runs. And of course, he doesn't deliver. And I lose the bet because the Phillies only win by 1. But that is, see, it's the up and downs of betting on the Bet Rivers app, and it's a ton of fun. And you don't have to bet a lot. You can just bet a little and just have fun every night. Or if you want to make a lot of money, you bet a lot and you take a shot. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on right now in Philly sports. And we'll get to the Phillies in a second because they play a big series against the Dodgers starting tonight. But let's talk about the Sixers, because they had a great week. And we talked about the acquisition of Paul George last week. And we went through the ups and downs of what that could be. Paul George has only averaged, he's missed 40% of the regular season in his last 4 years. The starting lineup looks really good. When you look at it that way, you go, wow, we got a big three. But again, an NBA regular season is a lot more than having a big three. You got to have the components to fill in an entire season where you can assure yourself of a decent seed. Because if you look at the statistics, the teams that play in the finals of a conference are usually the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. So I'm thinking that the Sixers have to get into that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But let's look at what Morey has done. Now, I have been very critical of Daryl Morey. I really don't like his methodology, but then I look at myself and I go, well, I'm stupid for looking at that, because he is governed by the Embiid window. He is responsible for building a championship team with Embiid in the lineup and how many more years he has. So he's under the gun to build a contender every year to take advantage of that window. He can't mess around and try to build a component team while Embiid is playing out his career. So I'll take Morey off the hook for that. I think he's maybe a little too star-oriented. He's a little too older star-oriented, which I don't like. But this is the only thing the best possible thing he could do for the Sixers right now, I will agree, is to bring in Paul George, and we'll see how that works. So right now, let's count the players here. Embiid, Maxey, George, Oubre, Caleb Martin, which was a key signing for him. I mean, let's face it. It's not a power forward, but it's a key component, a guy has good NBA experience, good playoff experience, and has succeeded. Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, Ricky counts to the 4th. If you looked at him last night, he kind of dominated that rookie league in Salt Lake City last night with 29 points, 19 in the 4th quarter. Looks good. He's got some confidence. He's a player that they can use. And then, of course, the rookie McCain and Bona, both rookies will make the roster. McCain looked okay last night, turned the ball over a little bit. That's to be expected. He's going to have a growing period in the NBA, turning the ball over. He's used to getting wherever he wants to on a basketball floor when he played for Duke last year. So that's 10 players. What is the outlook for the 10 players? It looks like a pretty good 10. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how much they're going to get out of Eric Gordon. Everybody loves Andre Drummond. And the fact of the matter is, when Embiid was not on the floor last year, the Sixers had a minus rating. And with Drummond, they're going to improve that situation. They can eat up 15, maybe 18 minutes a night with him on the floor, getting rebounds, doing what he does. They're going to have to add, I think, a 4. And I don't know where they're going to go with that. The lineup right now is small. If you're putting together a starting lineup, it probably looks like this: Embiid, Maxey, George, Oubre and Caleb Martin. Now, that's not a big team, except for Embiid as a rim protector. So I would like to see them get kind of a garbage man 4, bigger guy who maybe step out and make a 3. I don't know who that would be right now. Otherwise, they're going to have to play small because the guys they have coming up off the bench are smaller players as well, with Gordon and Council and McCain. And then Bona, I don't know how much he's going to be able to play. He looks very raw at this point, but I think he's athletic enough to help them in certain spots. They got rid of B-Ball Paul. Now, let me just say this, because I don't like to pat myself on the back a lot. In fact, I do that constantly, pat myself on the back. So I'm trying to con you here. But I said from the jump, and I liked him. I watched him at DePaul, and I go, how did DePaul get this kid? Because he showed some athletic. When he got to the NBA, he's been now with the Sixers 4 years, never learned how to play the game. Has no idea how to play the game. Doesn't know where he is on the floor. He has no continuity to his game. So this nonsense, sometimes I get down on Sixer fans when they think a guy can play and he can't. Like for years, it was the Furkan thing I had a good deal with. And it was a whole B-Ball Paul. B-Ball Paul, your sister's rear end. He had no idea how to play. Finally, they took a chance on him last year because Nick Nurse thought he could turn him into Siakam. And, of course, that didn't work, so finally he's gone. It's no loss with B-Ball Paul. God. All right. You move on from him. Again, the questions are, how many regular season games will George miss? Where will the seeding be because of that? And also, will George be healthy enough for the playoffs? In the past, he hasn't been healthy enough for the playoffs. So all this is to be seen. They have a good 10. It's a 10 that's deeper than what they had last year. It's another star player in the lineup, a la James Harden. And we'll see if this works. George is not the same defensive player he once was. And I don't know if when age creeps up on these guys, you never know. Like, these guys are in denial about their ability when they reach a certain age. Like, Harden thinks he's the same player he was when he's 25. Like, he's delusional. Now, I don't know if Paul George is either. So we'll just have to see. Are they as good right now as Boston? No. Are they as good as the Knicks? They might be. Listen, the Knicks had a wonder year last year. They also had a team of components that fit very well. And one of the major components was Isaiah Hartenstein, who is now gone, took a better deal. So how much are they going to get out of that center position? He was key for them. Offensive rebounding, rim protecting. They've got one guy coming back from injury in that spot. They don't have a Hartenstein they can bring off the bench. I think the Sixers right now are better than the New York Knicks. So that's a good sign. All right. That's your Sixers talk for today on the Mike Missanelli podcast. But right now, let's go Phils and Dodgers. Tonight they start a 3-game series. Now, this is a very important measuring stick for the Phillies, except for the fact that they're missing 3 players. So technically, it's not a measuring stick, but this is a good team they're going to play against. And they are favored tonight with Zach Wheeler going against Bobby Miller. Solid favorite tonight for the Phillies. If you're going to bet the series, this would be a game you probably bet. Minus 140 for the Phillies tonight. Bobby Miller is a promising young guy for the Dodgers. Has not had much success. He's got a 6.12 ERA. Wheeler has leaked a little bit, but I believe he's got enough to beat them tonight. And, of course, we'll see the great Ohtani. This is always a highlight when a great player comes to your stadium. So we'll get a chance to see him tonight against Zach Wheeler in a master matchup. Now, tomorrow night, Gavin Stone has been really good for the Dodgers, 9-2. 3.03 against Christopher Sanchez, who struggled in his last outing. And I predicted he would struggle because they had stretched him out for a complete game. And invariably, when you extend a guy beyond what he normally goes, the next start is not going to be great. And it wasn't great for Christopher Sanchez. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that. And of course, Landon Knack. The Dodgers just get these guys. They throw them in. They've got 3 injured guys in the rotation. Landon Knack has a 2.86 ERA in limited action for the Dodgers. Young kid. He'll pitch against Aaron Nola on Thursday. All right, so the Phillies landed 7 All-Stars. Now, that is a coup beyond a coup. I remember the days, little Mikey Miss following bad Phillies teams. it was always a thrill for me to see a Philly in an All-Star game. It's like, oh my God, a Philly. And you couldn't wait for him to get an at-bat or to pitch an inning. And now they've got 7. So the pitching staff that made the All-Star team, Wheeler, of course, makes it, and Ranger Suarez makes it, deservedly so, although his last 2 starts have not been good. I was surprised that 2 relievers made it, that both Hoffman and Strom, who are bullpen buddies, made the All-Star team. And those guys will probably pitch because there's a lot of starting pitcher types in this All-Star game that will have to pitch Sunday, which takes them out of the realm of pitching on Tuesday in the All-Star game. And one of them is Wheeler. Wheeler will not pitch. He is slated to pitch Sunday, so he's going to be a scratch. That means Hoffman, Strom might get in there. And Suarez will definitely pitch. He'll have 5 days of rest. So he'll definitely get in there. Bohm, Turner, Harper, your starters in the infield. Reminiscent of the days when they had Schmidt and they had Boa and they had Trio and they had Rose, back in the day and then you had Chase and J-Roll. So that's pretty impressive. All right. In retrospect, let's look at them losing 2 or 3 from the Braves because I want to bring producer Darren. Darren's a guy that always sounds the alarm. I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm I take it in stride. I go, this is a long baseball season. Nothing alarms me. When I see a good team, I see a good team. I don't worry about guys like Turner or Harper when they go in the slumps. I know the good players are going to come out of it. I have no level of angst with this Phillies team. Darren has a level of angst. Darren's concern right now is that there are too many guys in the All-Star game and that these guys they could use rest instead of going to the All-Star game. Have I read you right here, Darren?
Not quite. My concern is just with one. It's just with Ranger because he has the look of somebody that does need some rest. He looks tired. His last couple starts, he's looked tired, and he's not a guy who's pitched. This season has been the anomaly of his career. It's been the best pitching he's done in his career. He has in the past been injury prone. I just feel like he, more than anybody on the Phillies, needs a week off for some extra rest and treatment.
Let me ask you a question here. Where is he not going to get rest here at the All-Star? He's going to pitch at max 1 inning.
Yeah,
what do they ask him, to climb Mount Everest?
Right.
What are you talking about? The All-Star game is all about rest. These guys go in and play a couple innings. They rest the whole time. They're not spilling their bucket at the All-Star game.
I completely understand. And I'm not really worried about anybody else because of that. The Rangers just the one guy just makes me nervous. He looks like he does need rest. Wouldn't you not agree that he looks a little tired? He looks a little dead arm right now.
Darren, he's going to pitch 1 inning.
That's fine.
He's pitch 1 inning. What is he going to do at the All-Star game? What are they going to ask him to start and pitch 7?
No, and I actually hope when they bring him in to get somebody out, like they just bring him in.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? He's going to. It's a minimal workload that he's going to experience at the All-Star game. The good thing for him, confidence-wise, his first All-Star game, he's going to have his family in. It's a big thing for him. That could boost his confidence.
I agree, and that'll be good. And I hope he needs that. He's the one guy I worry about. If any, I don't worry about Harper because if Harper's back, he's ready to play. If Harper's back, he's ready to play. Position players, if they're back, they're ready to play. And Wheeler won't pitch because he's going to pitch Sunday. But Wheeler and Ranger are the 2 most important guys in this organization right now.
Here's what you should worry. I'm going to give you your worry. We haven't even gotten to your worry about them losing 2 or 3 to the Braves. You're all cranked up about that too, losing 2 or 3 to the Braves, right?
No, not really. They're playing with their AAA team right now.
All right, so it's no big deal. There's no alarm.
No.
Okay.
No
I was listening to them on NBC Sports Philadelphia say, well, it's very disappointing. Come on, let's talk. The 2 or 3 to the Braves in their home ballpark. You're going to lose some games, and you're not playing with a full deck. Here's my worry, and this is what you should be worried about. Why is Alec Bowman in the home run derby?
That was my first reaction, and I thought about it. I'm like, why is he there? Because home run derbies can screw guys up.
Well, exactly. And he's not a home run hitter, and now he's going to have to change his swing to launch balls. Now, apparently he can do that, But first of all, why was he asked?
That's my question.
Like, why would you think of Alec Bohm in the home run derby? I don't get the methodology of that. And of course, he's going to accept. He's not going to turn
wanted to be in it because I think that is a trend now. I think people are catching on to that most of the time. Even the guys with success in the home run contest, it screws them up.
Alonso said he's back for the 5th straight year. I don't get the Bohm thing, and you have to take a lot of swings in a home run derby, and that's what I worry about. That can tire you out more than playing a couple of innings in an All-Star game. So that's my only question, is my only worry. We'll see if that messes him up. Hopefully it does not. All right, one other issue I got to address, because a lot of people address it, and I addressed it too. Rob Thompson just does not believe in Brandon Marsh. And I don't know what it is. He doesn't seem to have faith in Brandon Marsh. He is spooked by the fact that he has been unsuccessful against left-handed hitters. And so he constantly goes to the platoon with the righties, and he puts Merrifield in there, and he puts Pache, both of whom stink. Now, I can see that if you got a right-handed hitter who's producing against left-handers, that you make that move if you don't trust Marsh just yet. But those guys aren't giving you any production against left-handers either. Yeah, their OPS is a little better. They're both hitting under 200 against lefties. So what the alternative that you're going with doesn't make sense to me, as opposed to get Marsh more at-bats against lefties. So, I mean, that's the one thing I don't understand that Rob Thompson does. Where is he going to – he says he's not ready to hit lefties on a full-time basis. Where is he going to learn to hit lefties on a full-time basis? What are they going to do? Are they going to set up a machine? It's just not the same. You got to face left-handed pitching. You got to see it a lot to adjust to it. And so I don't understand your methodology on that. Now, it's
with one of those guys like Pache, like if they make a trade for an outfielder, and it certainly sounds like that's going to be their emphasis at the deadline. Pache's not going to the team.
Well, to me, they have to do that. I just don't understand what the deal is with the rationale on why they don't play Marsh. I'm all for it if the right-handed guy is producing. I got no problem with it. They're not. So what don't you feel it would be better to grow the kid against left-handed pitching rather than go with Pache and Merrifield? Thompson is in love with Merrifield. He keeps wanting to get him going. Thompson's a guy, I guess he loves veteran players who have produced before. But there's a point in time where you go, you know what, he's hit a wall. He's not an accomplished hitter anymore. He used to be. He's no longer. He's 35. Pache has never been an accomplished hitter. I don't understand it.
And they're the two guys, if I got to remove from this lineup right now, if everybody's back, they're the two guys I don't want on the team.
All right. That is our look at the fighting Phils right now against the Dodgers tonight. Wheeler, I like it. I would bet it on the Bet Rivers at -140. I'll take Wheeler. All right. That'll do it for the Mike Missanelli podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening today. And I got some big things coming up. I got tell you about in a little bit when it's ready to be released. I get a big thing. I am working. I'll hint it. I am working on a true crime podcast that I think would be very interesting to watch. It has nothing to do with sports. It has to do with a murder that happened in my hometown when I was a young boy. And we're going to be doing a podcast on that, not connected with Bet Rivers, but in general. So you can reach me, of course, email-wise, mike@mikemiss.com, and check me out on Twitter at MikeMiss25. And I want to announce something. Our winery is now called Brigante by the Bay. We have partnered with my buddy Mike Costanzo, who is a former Philly draft pick, who was actually in the trade and brought Brad Lidge here, and his company Brigante Wines, and we have merged together to create Brigante by the Bay. So our winery will be known as Brigante by the Bay. It's got a really cool pirate logo on it. So if you're in the neighborhood, stop by our new approach. We're going to have a lot of infrastructure building, and we're going to be able to be distributed in many states. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you later on the Mike Missanelli podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.